Attempting to get two or more cats to coexist in harmony can be quite the difficult task. Whether we're talking about introducing a new cat in the home or bringing in multiple felines that had little or no association with each other in the past, whatever your situation entails, getting cats to accept each other is very rarely an overnight success. In this material, we'll talk about several notables that could play a major role with respect to not only the timetable, but also how the cats in question will fare. There are several hurdles that must be crossed in order to make the living space a happy home, and that's what we'll touch on here today. Interesting topic and hopefully a helpful one for those in this situation. I've got you covered. Stay tuned. The factors involved, the personalities involved, when it comes to cats accepting cats and how long it will take, it really all boils down to a case-by-case scenario. How old are the cats? What type of history have they had? Have the cats had a negative past experience or experiences? Are the cats a bit shy and timid? Or are the cats live wires and very aggressive? As an owner, knowing the basic about each cat is key. There are several things that you can do to make the transition easier for all involved, and accordingly make the acceptance process that much easier and successful. Let's first talk about the introduction. The very last thing you want to do is take the let's have at it approach, a situation where the cats are just unloaded, if you will, and they do their own introducing. That's just a mess waiting to happen. It's like a sneak attack, and that's the last thing you want. You never want the cats to just figure things out on their own. When introducing new felines, it's important to remember the significance of scent. Take something from one cat, perhaps a toy or a piece of bedding, just anything that holds their scent, and give it to the other cat. Let them become familiar, have a good sniff, and do the same for the other feline. If everyone involved becomes familiar with the scent, how one cat smells, how they both smell, then it won't be a shock when a face is put to that scent. Smell first, direct contact second. Moments ago, I spoke of personalities. It's important to understand that some cats are shy and timid, while others are far more outgoing and more eager to socialize. In terms of how long it can take for cats to accept each other, one of the biggest factors, and quite possibly the biggest factor, is personality. Some felines find it fun and exciting to meet someone new, have a new playmate and a friend. Other cats, an introduction could go over like oil and water. Sometimes if the latter is the case, you'll just have to wait it out, unfortunately. The cats involved, they'll certainly come around, but there could be a bit of hissing and some unpleasant stares that you'll just have to work through. If this is in fact the case, keep the cats separated. Allow them to see each other and keep those scents in the air, but keep them out of physical reach. Familiarity and father time will be your best friends if the cats are indeed clashing. I'd also like to revisit the topic of age. Generally speaking, it's much easier to introduce young cats with young cats because they're still in adventure mode, wide-eyed to the world. They're still in that playful stage, and life, it's still very much a curious paradise waiting to be explored. And let's also state a bit of the obvious. They just haven't been around long enough to establish those old ways. They haven't been around long enough to truly be annoyed by great change. On the other side of things, introducing a few younger felines to an adult or senior cat can be very much a struggle. Older cats are a lot more set in their ways and often unwilling to change. Some older felines, they also lack the patience for anything new. I know from personal experience that introducing kittens to my senior cat years ago, well, it was a bit of a task. My senior cat, he wasn't mean or aggressive, nothing like that, but he had a tough time dealing with the new additions. So much so that he fell ill for a while, simply due to the stress of the new environment and those new additions. Now let's talk about the history of these new additions. Unless you are 100% up to date regarding where a cat has been and their life prior to you, that feline could very much be dealing with a lot of trauma that you could be totally unaware of. Those past emotional scars, they could carry over in this new environment, thus making acceptance and that timetable drag out for quite a while. If a feline does have a history of rough times with other cats in the past, there will already be a built-in struggle when it comes to trust. This is one of the reasons why attempting to turn a true feral cat, for example, into a house cat can be so very difficult. Feral cats, sadly, one of the very first things they learn to lose is trust. Trust in people and certainly a trust of other cats. In order to survive, most everyone has to be viewed as the enemy. If your cats, these new introductions to the home, have had quite a negative past, expect it to carry over until the felines learn to accept this new environment, and quite frankly, this new positive and loving lifestyle. Some cats can enter a new place simply expecting the worst, because that's all life has ever had to offer. Now let's talk about that environment, a cat-friendly environment. That's certainly the objective, a big factor when it comes to felines accepting each other, and at the minimum, coexisting is the environment. The cats, seeing each other, the scents. That right there, that's enough to deal with for all cats involved and all people involved in this entire process. That's why your home needs to be warm, cozy, and accepting. The environment and the atmosphere itself should be one of peace rather than conflict. If all of the cats involved, both new and familiar, have their own space in the home, own water, own food, own litter box, and their very own toys, that type of positive environment will make it easier for everyone. This way, the cats don't have to feel like they're competing for those essentials. Now, this brings us all back to the heart of the matter. So, what is the timeline? That's the topic for today's video. So, what is it? How long does it take for cats to accept each other? Unfortunately, there is no magic formula, some set number of days or weeks that can be thrown out as a target date. However, the essentials covered in today's video, and they are wide-ranging, go through them, take stock, see how you're faring with respect to what you need to do in order to make things accommodating. This goes for the introduction, how to handle these different feline personalities, the ages of all the cats, and any red flag warnings regarding past history, and make sure you're setting up that cat-friendly and peaceful environment. One thing I will stress, and this pretty much cloaks the entire discussion when it comes to this topic, and that is patience. There will naturally be a few bumps along the way. In fact, depending on the situation, you could even begin to question if bringing in a new cat or new cats to the home was even a good idea, especially if we're talking about adding a new cat into a family where other cats have lived for many, many years. My advice, easier said than done likely, but just try and keep your cool. Do not attempt to rush things. As long as you're being responsible and working through the issues, everything will be just fine. If you're adding a cat to the fold, that means you already have a cat, at least one. Well, play that experience, that ownership journey experience, play it to your advantage. You know what to do. You know everything that a feline needs. Play on what you already know and apply it to this new situation, this new addition. From personal experience, I actually did a bit of a no-no. I broke one of the notables that I listed here today in this video. If you are a regular viewer and a long-time viewer to this channel, you likely know a bit of the story. I introduced a few kittens to my senior cat, Burl, like I mentioned earlier, and he had a lot of stress, and he had a lot to endure. He didn't get aggressive, he wasn't mad, but he just didn't know how to take it. At that time in his life, Burl had the whole place to himself. He was the only cat that I had, the only pet. Then, all of a sudden, these little kittens just show up. He was anxious for a time, but I helped him work through it, giving him extra love and attention, and within a couple of weeks he was fine, fully accepting of the changes. In fact, he became somewhat of an uncle or a grandpa to the kittens, and they all loved him very much. They would look at him like he was the oldest and wisest cat in the whole world. I think Burl actually grew to love that responsibility, just watching over the kittens, making sure that they stayed out of trouble. And as I did mention in one of the notables, and referencing this very situation with Burl, personality. It can really be the key to everything. It can actually override some of the don'ts, if you get what I mean. At any rate, patience is indeed a virtue. As long as you're calm, cool, and collected with that responsibility mixed in, of course, everything will be just fine. Worry less about some imaginary target date for acceptance. Rather, just take things as they come. In the end, everything will be worth the time and worth your energy. And with that said, to the audience of Senior Cat Wellness, this topic is indeed quite a doozy. It's not as easy as just answering a simple question. There are many, many layers and frankly a lot of details that I left out just in an effort not to make this a 20 or 30 minute video. From your personal experience, is there anything that you'd like to add to this list? Anything that you feel like owners would need to know if they're adding felines to the home, bringing new cats into the fold? Is there anything else they can do in an effort to make everything a success and perhaps make that acceptance time a bit shorter? If you have something you'd like to add, by all means, especially when it comes to an actual physical or the actual physical introduction of the cats. The comment section, as always, it's all yours. And if you enjoyed this content, please give the video a like and subscribe to the channel. I'd love to have you as a member of the Senior Cat Wellness family. And until next time, thank you so very much for watching, and I will talk to you later.